So we're here to talk about the nodes shifting.
So the nodes are that we're referring to are the nodes of the moon. And they have a lot to do with just eclipse energy. So the nodes of the moon have been in the sign of Taurus. They're always in polar opposite signs, and it's been Taurus Scorpio, which is where the solar lunar eclipses have been for about the past 18 months to 2 years. So now they're switching from that into Aries Libra energy. And so the nodes have to do with with an axis of life direction, if you will. The south node it's like a suitcase you bring with you from the past. So your gifts, your strengths, things that come a little bit more naturally to you. And oftentimes when we're young, we kind of gravitate because we feel comfortable there. But the life in general will kind of propel us into the north node, which is the direction the life is meant to flow. And so in your individual charts, they might be in different signs, but collectively right now they're switching signs, and it's the relationship axis, me and them. So just that alone is interesting, bringing up a lot of our relationships. I think relationship to everything, not just people, but our work, our career, our health, things like that.
So I'm going to start by channeling. I channel a Druid consciousness. They're very earthbound. They're going to talk a lot about what's happening within the planetary systems right now in those shifts and how they're just affecting us overall. And then we'll kind of have a discussion. The energies of the planet are continuing to move right now and shifting. And as you think back to what happened on Monday as the re-addition of the new moon and the shifting of the direction of the purpose of life of the planet and where it was going, we also added in this additional lightness that came in as these energies were able to allow for more enlightenment to come to the planet Earth. And as all this is happening, it definitely allows for the ability for each being on the planet to feel this shifting in this propel forward. For as you are getting ready to propel forward, it will truly allow for you to have to go inward, to have to work through what is there, to see what shifts, to see what happens, to truly allow for it to go. And some of you may say, well, it wasn't as difficult for me, or it was easier for me, or all these different things. But what it truly comes down to is the knowing and understanding that as each of you are here, and as each of you are individual beings that are set on this planet Earth with specific reasons and purposes and paths of what you need to walk, that the energies are laid out for you to feel them and to have them affected in different ways. So as you look at what happened recently, it's about going into the home. It's about finding out what you need. How is your home life? What do you need shifted there? What do you need to bring in there? What do you need to release there? And truly knowing and understanding that as all of these things are coming in, you truly need to have the ability to reshift, the ability to relook at what has been and what will be. It is also about understanding that as we are shifting within the purpose of the planet, so as they shift to allow for the understanding that this shift and the direction and the path of the planet is changing, it also allows to know that it is about understanding what a balance is, what a partnership is, and truly how you balance yourself with others. Because if the earth is not balanced, there is so much more that we miss. There is so much more than what we have. And if everything is out of balance, what happens? You fall over. You can't stand up. There is an issue. And so this is about understanding the balance of what needs to be. The earth has been very unbalanced thus far. It needs to allow for that to shift forward, but to also look for the common goals, the common placements of what is there. For when all of that comes in and when all of that happens, that truly allows for a better understanding of what has been and how you can learn from the past to propel forward into the future. For when the future comes in, it allows for the energies to reshift. Now you may say, well, the future is not relative, and that is true. For in time and space do not exist where we exist, but we know it exists for you, so that's why we have to talk more about it. And so as you are allowing for this to come in, as you are allowing for this shift in understanding, the knowingness of what has been and what will be, it truly also allows for you to propel forward and to take this energy, to allow it to come into you, and to not be afraid to move in the direction of where you need to go. For as all that is coming in, when you can move forward in a new direction, it may affect different parts of who you are, because each of you are walking different paths with different purposes. And as those paths and purposes are truly there, it will also allow for a knowledge and understanding that as things are coming into you, as you are coming into the knowingness of what has been and what will be, you will also know that there is so much there for you than what has been. And it is about opening up your mind and allowing for the universe to give you the direction, to give you the path, and give you the knowledge of what is there. Does anyone have any questions on what we spoke of thus far before we move on? Okay, we're going to assume all is understood. So now as you are coming into this, as you are now opening up your mind to allow for the information to flow in and allowing for that shift to happen, it is also truly about knowing that as these things are happening, as these shifts are happening, as you are opening yourself up to this newness, to this energy, to allow for yourself to truly release what no longer serves you, to reconnect what hasn't been connected, to repurpose the energy that is there, and to truly regard of what is necessary to allow for more to come in. It is about you truly setting in your intention of who and what you are. Because for most people, you do not look at things from your self standpoint. You do not see what you need, where you are, and how this is all coming in. And so the important part is to understand that as all this is shifting in, as this understanding of what has been and what will be will truly come into where has been, is that you need to know that as all of this is connecting with you, you also need to allow yourself to let go and to move into the right direction. For change is difficult for humans. It is very difficult as things are shifting, as things are changing. But that is not a problem, so to speak, because change that allows you to stay back and allows you to be careful and be careful and check and know where things are, also allows for you to truly reconnect in. It allows for you to kind of replug into what you need and to shift forward as they are. Recharge your batteries, so to speak, for when you see change coming. But it is also about not letting it pass you by, watching the signs and the signals. For the signs and the signals that have been happening is as the vibration and as the densities of the planet are changing, as more light is being shoved into the earth, and as the astrological beings are assisting with that and allowing for that lightness to happen and that pull to come in. It also allows for the knowledge and understanding that as these things are coming in and happening, it creates this placement that each of you are so much more reconnected. It allows for that knowledge and that placement of time and space to truly be where you need it to be. For as you are allowing this all information to flow in, as you allow for yourself to trust in the universe, trust in the signs, your guides, yourself, source, whatever beings you work with, whatever energies assimilate with you, it is about letting them show you the way. It's about not letting the human things get in the way to allow yourself to truly propel forward. Now, we know you are thinking right now, but some of these human things need to be had. Yes, we understand now that you need to have money to have a home and to have food and all of those things that you say you need. And that is true, and that we can grasp that. But it's about not letting the worry or the fear or the I need to or that victimhood get in the way of saying, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, and this is how I can get there, with still giving gratitude and love to all around you. Because so many beings on this earth have yet to understand that they first have to look at themselves, to understand who they are, how they're here, where they're going, to truly allow for the push of the planet and the rest of the universe to move forward as well. For the universe is only as good as its weakest planet, which is something that you know and understand from other things that have been said before. And so when you look at that, that is why Earth needs to raise up and needs to elevate and ascend into these higher densities and dimensions to truly allow for this opening, for this understanding of what is, to harness the energy that is here, to help heal, to help assist, to help shift and move, and all of those other things that are needed. For when they come in and when they happen, that is truly when the enlightenment and the ascension will happen, not only for the beings on the planet, but for the planet and universe overall. Does that make sense to you thus far? What else do you have for us today?
So is this process the next 2 years until the nodes shift again?
So it is part of the process. The nodes are just allowing for new universal energy to come in. The process has been happening from before, but it was somewhat stalled because the node energy that was provided before through the Taurus and the Scorpio energy did not provide for as much movement. It was downward, it was inward, it was very set in its ways. But now it is about truly that movement forward, because when you go down and inward, you had time to contemplate, to think, to really go inward and say, what do I need? Where am I going? And so now it is about that movement forward. So yes, it is part of this energy, and it will also continue as it begins to shift into other planets as well, for it will just open more things up. As it, in 18 months to 2 years, or however long it takes, it will move back into the Piscean energy, and it will continue to shift in that direction to allow for this understanding. And then you will go inward again as you think about the Piscean energy and that subconscious and where you need to go, to then come back out into that openness and into that really strong planetary system again. So when you look at it from your personal exact standpoint of where you were within your chart and how it connects with you specifically, it is truly about understanding that yes, that this time did not align for you as much as it could have in other ways. But it is about letting you go inward and seeing how that universal energy of purpose and path affects other things. So the nodes themselves do not necessarily affect your particular nodes, but we'll look at other aspects of your life. For you, it is about going inward and seeing who you are, but it's also about releasing these things that hold you down. For you feel the weight of very much on you. You feel that sense of, what do I need? How do I get there? How do I provide? How do I connect? How do I truly understand where they are? But it is also about letting some of that go to truly allow for yourself to feel what else is out there, to allow yourself to be seen, to allow for yourself to really grasp in and understand where you are and how to show yourself and your gifts and your abilities to the world as a whole, to allow for you to be a being authentically to who and what you are. The timelines are always shifting, as there's times where they need to slow down for the human race, and there's times where they need to pick up for the human race. So yes, for you specifically, you are feeling that reconnection to what has been, to allow for you to propel forward. So when you think about time as shifting backward or forward, when you get to other dimensions and vibrations, yes, time does change from your perspective. It can, for your way, speed up versus slow down. It is about understanding the vibration you're at and how you resonate with the energies around you, including the planet overall and the universe, along with what dimension you exist in. And you may say, well, how can you live in a different dimension than what Earth is in? Well, it's very possible. Just know and understand it's about where the consciousness sits. It's not about where you see yourself, as the dimensions are all here, and it is just about where beings sit within the energetic grid. So as you are allowing for that to come in, allow for that movement to happen. For when you can feel that time and that movement happen, it is truly about embracing to allow for yourself to move at a faster pace, because you will move at a faster pace not only for you specifically, but for longer things as well, and to really allow for that reconnection of who, what, when, where, and why you are here. Now, as you look at time overall, as you know, it is something that is part of the human race and is part of the Earth being planet as well. But each of you have the ability to speed up time, to slow down time, or stop time as you move between different dimensions, different lifetimes, or different consciousnesses that there are. So do not worry so much about time, that you've lost time, you gained time, you need time. Instead, look at it as where I've been and where I'm going. And are you enjoying each and every moment that is provided for you through time? If you can look at each of those moments with joy, with happiness and gratitude, that is when you're truly grasping what is here and how you need to move forward into the future. Was that helpful?
Yes.
It is truly about understanding that all is energy. So the body is energy, the elements are energy. It can be about things that need to be let go, that need to be recreated, that need to be brought in. So it is about understanding that your way, the human way of healing, is not necessarily the way it needs to be done. Yes, it has worked. Yes, you say there's evolution, there's growth. But if you can truly get to the root of any ailment that someone has, truly understand the energy of what it is, how it is, you can allow for the other energies of the planet to allow for that to heal on its own. Say, for instance, there needs to be an herb or more minerals or a different different food that needs to be eaten to allow for that to shift. Perhaps it is something that comes from a past lifetime. Say, for example, you were shot in the knee in another lifetime, and so you have lots of knee problems. Well, let's heal that energy and that karma in that lifetime associated with that, so that the physical body doesn't have to show it anymore. For the physical body shows so much of energy that has been there. It allows for beings to see and understand what is coming and what they need to clear or shift. But from a human perspective, you just say, oh, my knee is bad, I need to get a knee replacement. But let's look at the energy. Not to say that there's times where you might not need to replace the knee. Yes, there are times where it is so bad that it cannot revert in a faster way than you want it to if the vibration and the density is not correct. But it is about saying, okay, how can you look at this from an energetic perspective, from a soul perspective, and how the human body is showing it to the physical body and to the human in a certain way. When that is happening and when that is allowed to happen, that truly allows for the embracement of that. So as we look at the system of how you heal humans right now, it is truly about going back into the earth, for the human body is of the earth and from the earth, and the earth can provide everything it needs to heal. It is also about saying what energetically needs to happen. How can this shift? What can the being do? In noticing the small signs first. Not waiting until someone has a heart attack and say, oh, well, I guess we need to heal their heart. I wonder why they have issues with their heart. Perhaps they can't accept love. They can't give love. They don't feel love. They have no self-love. But when that happens, when the body finally says, okay, this is the energy we have and we have nothing to do with it, so it has the heart attack, then that is when you need to have more things that happen. But it's about looking beforehand, seeing what connects, seeing what is there, seeing how that can shift, how that energy can realign to truly allow for the body, the soul, and the consciousness to truly reconnect, realign, and let go of that energy that no longer serves to allow the healing, as you say, to happen. Is that helpful? So Cancer is just showing up in a different way. It's energy that is stuck, or it is the body's way of saying, we have all these cells we don't know what to do with. We don't know how to get rid of them because our system of detoxification has been slowed down. So we're just going to stick them here. And then they start to build over time and they start to grow. So it can be something like that. It can also be an energy that they want to feel or they want to experience that, or it can come from a past lifetime. There is not one particular answer, for it is all dependent upon each individual that is experiencing it or bringing that in. It truly allows that if people can truly let go and release energy, release things that are difficult for them or no longer serve them, that is when you will find that Cancer won't be so prevalent as it is now. Now, don't understand there are those people that came into this lifetime wanting to experience it, or they have created it and it has come to them because they need to understand what it is to have others assist them. That is also seen fairly frequently as souls say, I need to allow others to assist me and to help me and to support me. And they go through their lifetime and that doesn't happen. So they create the Cancer to allow that to come in. And it is not to say it is necessarily something that needs to always be there, but it is just a way for this to come. So each individual is very different in why it has come in and the differences that there are in how they can release that to truly heal, unless if they decide that that will be their exit point and their chance for them to go back to the realm of where they're from. Was that helpful for you? I know you were not happy with the answer.
No.
Okay, good. Any other questions that you have for us today?
In regards to the notes right now, this timeline, that was so for someone like me who has been on a rapid pace, life purpose shifts and creation over the last several years, to hear that it's like revving up is like mind-boggling, because I'm like, how much faster can I get?
But you have to understand, if you've done the work before and you're already within that path of it moving, that you are ahead of where the earth and the universe are coming in right now. So you will just find that you will coast and you will move forward at a much easier pace as you are within this area of creation, as you are within this area of understanding your purpose and your path. For you were late to the game, so to speak, when you decided your path and you decided to work towards it and to get towards it. But you have done very well with it, and you're allowing for this all to come in. So it is about understanding that as these are shifting, that you are the one that were on the forefront of it. For any time universal energies shift and change, you can't just automatically say move. The same way you can't look at water and say create a wave. It won't happen. But if someone is in there that is already moving the water, that will allow for that shift to happen. So as there's energy that is being created and built up on the earth, it allows for the universe to help shift it and propel it forward so that others can kind of ride that wave in as well and then start the paddling and the movement of it. So you are in a good spot right now. Do not worry. You are not overwhelmed. You are not overworked. There is so much here, and you are seeing the creation of what you desired and what your work went into. Well, we've left you with a lot of information to allow for you to understand that these shifts that are happening and how they are creating this new way of being, they are allowing for so much more to come in, and the excitement that we feel for it is very much and vast. For as that is coming in and being there, it will truly allow for each of you to know and to understand how you are part of this opening and this realignment of Earth. And with that, we wish you a nice day. All right. Questions on what they said. I think the overarching concept of what they were talking about tonight is truly about that we're on this pattern where more energy is being flooded into the earth. And as we are doing that, it's going to allow for humanity to shift forward in a faster way and in a better way. Because it was in that Taurus Scorpio energy, and the Nords go backwards, so everybody knows on the astrological charts. They were in Taurus and Scorpio, now they're shifting in. And so Taurus and Scorpio is such deep rooted energy. Thick, yeah. That you're kind of stuck in the mud. And if you think about the last 2 years, we've been a little, at least I've been stuck in the mud.
Totally stuck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now it's this shift. Like even for me personally, you're the exception though. I remember your question. So you guys were just on the forefront of it, and there's probably connections in your charts, I would assume, to that. But it's about making, you guys had to start creating that energy for more to come in. So for me, Monday morning, I text her and I'm like, what time did the node shift? Because it was like, all of these things started flow. I got emails from people that I didn't expect to again, and opportunity. And I was like, whoa, like, where is all this flooding in? But because in my chart, I was stuck in the mud and where I'm at. So it was just about saying, okay, how is this flowing? And so, as this new energy is coming in, it's about not letting ourselves worry, get stuck, hold on to things that no longer serve us. It's about saying, okay, I'm ready to make this path and go forward.
So just to clarify that a little bit, that doesn't mean, so in your individual birth chart, the nodes are going to be in opposite signs. So it doesn't mean that in your birth chart, your nodal placement changes. It's just in the collective, it changes. I always say too that you have to kind of take the chart as a whole instead of just piecemeal, because there might be some lovely, trines or sextiles that can help to offset that, or sometimes they're not talking to any other planets. And so I always look at everything as just, you have to kind of take the whole chart into consideration. But what I was thinking that you're a Sun Aquarius, so like that would affect the core of who you are, but it sounds like it was the core and the life direction a little bit. It's kicking you in the butt a little bit. Yeah. And Taurus, Scorpio, it's about internal deep processing, going within, that also can bring up issues of like where we feel our safety. It can be a little up for grabs because Taurus needs to be safe in order to trust. So those signs are, a little bit, like you said, more internalized, stuck, a little bit more, going deep. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air in a way to say, okay, whatever it is that we were able to shift during that time, let's take it to the outer world and see what we can do with it. And know that this is also held in a larger container of the whole, the precession of the equinoxes and where we're kind of shifting into the age of Aquarius. And so we're at the very, very beginning of about a 2,500 year cycle. So, we're living in very interesting times, to say the least. And that is about, I always say, like, Aquarius is kind of like touching a live wire. There's a lot of energy. So it's great that we're letting all this light in, because there's a lot of brilliance that comes. And I think we're going to see a lot of new ideas, new technologies come forward. So this is a very kind of interesting time for all of us to have incarnated and live through a pandemic and all of that. So, but I just kind of wanted to clarify that, you really have to take it to your individual chart to see exactly how you're being affected and what times are going to be more intense for you. But I always kind of look at them as like opening up, energetic windows of opportunity. And now's a time when we can really accomplish. And so you might feel more free with this, to say like, maybe I'm able to do more what I want to do. That's what Aries wants to do. And notice, and know that you're going to need to balance that out with downtime, as well, because it's not just about interpersonal relationships. It's like it can be the relationship with your work, right? And, sometimes you need some rest in order to be able to function, right? Kind of know what's coming and try to work more intentionally in those areas to be more in flow with the energy, because the planets all move at different speeds. And I've been doing a lot of work with just working with the lunar phases, and you get to do that every single month. Whereas the non-plane of Pluto, that's 248 years all the way around your chart. So
I don't know which one of you asked about health, but I think what I hear a lot about health and what I've had to do for my own self is I really look at the body shows us everything that's going on. It shows us the energies that are there, and we as humans are great at ignoring it. Oh yeah, it's just a headache. Oh yeah, my leg hurts today, but yeah, it'll be fine tomorrow. It's like, okay, no, let's stop and look at these energies of what it is. So, feet are very Piscean. You don't want to move forward. Pisces would rather swim or sit or not do anything. And I can say that because I'm a Piscean. So, knees always can, every time I work with a client and their knee, I'm like, okay, what are you being too rigid about? Knees are about rigidity. You're too rigid about something. Backs are about support. Oh, but if we don't look at those energies or allow for them for us to see them for what they are, whether they're from this lifetime, another lifetime, or just something we need to look at, it can start to build up. And that's not to say we don't want to have an experience of, breaking our leg or something else. Like, there's sometimes those are just experiences, but I personally have to look at where it is, what's happening, and why is this coming through? Why is this happening? And then what can I do to realign my energy? And there's some, and sometimes it's by changing what I eat. That shift happens, but it's just about listening to what works for you.
So I construct a chart. The nodes are in the Aries Libra axis, so they're squaring it, making what's called a T-square. So it's really kind of ramping up the energy. And then we have Mars opposite Saturn. Mars is anything that we want to do, and then Saturn is all about like kind of structure, but also right and wrong. So as somebody once put it nicely in a video last night, not a good time to poke the bear. Unless by poking the bear, there's a lot that you can maybe transform. Another significant event that's going to happen on Sunday is Venus is going to go retrograde. You ever heard of retrograde? Like Mercury retrograde, everybody freaks out about Mercury retrograde and drives me crazy because retrogrades aren't bad. It's just knowing how to deal with them. So what it is that it's like when a faster moving planet goes by a slower moving planet, like kind of like the phenomenon when you're on a train, you appear to go backward, but they're not really. But they call it retrograde, and so Venus is going to be retrograde from Sunday, the 23rd of July through September 4th. So in a retrograde period, it's a great time to go back and review something and related to the energies. So Venus is all about the feminine, about love, about money. And so, if you've had a disagreement with somebody or a disagreement about money with someone, maybe it's a time to go back and revisit it, and maybe you can kind of course correct things a little bit and just use it in that regard instead of, they always say with Mercury, don't make these big decisions, but, you can't stop your life because Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year, right? Yeah. And then, my teacher, I just always said, Mercury is the trickster, so if you were to do a tally sheet, probably just as much goes wrong in communication when it's direct as when it's retrograde. But if it's retrograde, you're like, see, it's because of the Mercury retrograde. And I think it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy if you break out about it. Yeah. So just in retrograde periods in general, so, basically all the planets will go retrograde at some point. Venus doesn't retrograde that often. But this can be a time, but also go back and say, and just maybe do an internal audit of Venus is about love and support and giving and receiving. And, we as women always give, right? We give easily. But how good are we at receiving? And where do we need to receive a little bit more? Who's offering the support that we can step into a little bit more? So that's another good thing to think about during that time.
What if Venus was retrograde in your chart?
Yeah. So I was so funny. I was just thinking that. So when you have Venus retrograde in your natal chart, you might actually feel a little bit better. So yeah, the thought is that if you were born under a retrograde, you might feel, a little bit easier. In astrology, if you, at the time of your birth, if you have 4 or more planets going in reverse, you're somebody that's kind of a little counterculture. You don't accept there might be some people here in this room that might be a little counterculture. And so, but you may be planting seeds for other people. You might be game changers in your family, in your town. So there's a lot going on right now. The chart is, because everyone and everything in your life is in the chart. I think of it as like your owner's manual, but it's very much layered, and it's a matter of like, not only what the layers say, but how is your consciousness using this information? Because 2 people born at the same time with different consciousness will use it in very different ways. Like a twin, like the conjoined twins, for example, in Iowa, they wanted to do 2 different things. They don't only have the same chart, they have the same body. So, the consciousness of the individual plays a really big role. And some people, you notice they just go about life and they're happy doing just the mundane things, and they're not bothered by any of this. It's usually the more conscious people that are like, oh, okay, I'm really feeling this, or, I want to do something with it.
There's something magical about being a human at this point in time with all of these shifts and changes. That's one thing that I constantly get from the Druids and the messages is that each one of us chose to come down at this time and be a part of this ascension process. And this doesn't happen really ever. And so it's a really, really cool time to be around right now.
I can't imagine not living in this time with what I've experienced. I would have probably checked out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being serious. It's like, thank goodness. This is like,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a funness to it, like this excitement, like, oh God, now what?
Now, right. What's going to happen today?
Now what's going to happen? being removed from the outer. So, like, you know, the outer chaos is, you know, I find that interesting. Even with this chaos going, look at what we're doing.
Yeah, and with the age of Aquarius, you know, that's a very individualistic type of energy. But I look at it as we're an individual within a collective, and we're all in like an orchestra, but we have to find our unique instrument to play. So people in this room are more focused on that, and I think ultimately that creates more joy.